Okay, brand new video and a brand new challenge. On this painting here, I wanted to see if I could just make the entire painting about one little tiny thing, just the ear. Most paintings, all about the portrait, all about the head, all about the face. But could I bend the will of all of the powers that I have and all the fundamentals of art that I've learned towards one super tiny space on this campus? Let's see. I'll show you how I use saturation, value, edges, and just about everything to make sure that the focus of this painting was that little tiny ear. For this painting, I had the drawing done first. I actually work at some galleries, and so I started the drawing at one of the galleries. So that's why the drawing's mostly done. But I am doing a little bit of fixing on the drawing as well. And you can see the circle that I made right around that ear to remind me, hey, all about this ear. And I also referenced my color chart for the Zorn palette. And while I'm talking about that, I might as well get into the materials that I'm using. What I'm painting on is paper. This is a Stonehenge oil paper that I've gessoed with a combination of white and black gesso to make a gray neutral color gesso. I'm using the Zorn palette, which is titanium white, yellow ochre, cadmium red light, and ivory black. These colors are from Winsor Newton, their student brand, Winton student brand. And the brushes I'm using are very inexpensive, just cheap brushes. I do have a couple of rosemary brushes that I use, but for most part, I use very inexpensive brushes. So most people think of portraits as being all about the face, the eyes, the expression. I wanted to try something different. What if the entire painting focused on just the ear? Only the ear. That was the challenge. Now, why did I choose the ear? Well, honestly, I was flipping through a lot of photos of figure models and things like that. And this one really stood out to me because I saw the ear and also the hand on the bottom right, which I deleted from this painting as well. I saw the ear and I saw its saturation and I was like, ooh, wow, what if I could make the entire painting just about that ear and its saturation? Part of this is all about like curiosity, but also I wanted to try and exercise some restraint within myself. And could I do it? Could I really bend the entire painting towards this one purpose? The storytelling and emphasizing just one body part, because that doesn't just take the one body part, just the ear. It takes the entire painting to really focus towards that. Now, the first layer, I painted a bunch of expressive marks, very expressive mark making, a very loose underpainting. I did that because I wanted to kind of start expressively and hopefully finish expressively as well. I'm always trying to push myself to get out of this mode of being too detailed with all of my paintings. Now, that was the first session, expressive mark making, and then I let the painting dry overnight. But I didn't just let it dry in my studio. I tried an experiment. I put the painting in my garage, and I'm in Colorado right now, and oh my gosh, is it hot right now. It was over 100 degrees. I think it was like 120 in my garage. It was ridiculously hot. And I was hoping that the next day when I came to the painting that it would be not perfectly dry. I didn't think it would be perfectly dry, but at least kind of sticky, right? That way the other layers that I put on top of this initial expressive layer wouldn't push around that initial expressive layer too much, and I could work over top of it. Maybe scrape a lot of painting on top of that dried layer. But unfortunately, it still was the same kind of dryness as any other painting I had. So that didn't really work. Maybe if I would have left it in the garage for a couple days or just in my studio for a couple days, that would have happened. But I paint every single day, so I didn't want to do that. Now, the second session was all about directing the audience, using the fundamentals of oil painting and art in general to really push where I want the viewer to look at. And the first thing I did, pulled directly from the image, was really saturate that ear, like a high chroma red. I mean, red in the Zorn palette is the only accent color you have. Everything else is fairly muted, pretty neutral. So definitely it was going to be a very bright orange for that ear. High saturation is, if you don't know what that means, it's also called high chroma. Any really bright color like that cadmium red, a super bright cadmium yellow, those are super high saturated colors. Desaturated colors would be a white, a black, your grays especially. Now, it wasn't just about the ear, it has to also be about the rest of the painting. I could saturate the ear, but if the rest of the painting was saturated as well, the focus would not be the ear. So I needed to make sure that all of my other mixtures were desaturated. So the skin tones you'll see there are a mixture of really all four colors, but very limited in the red as well. So more ivory black, more yellow ochre, and more white for the flesh tones. And then the background, just completely gray. Lots of grays within there. So this contrast in saturation was the main thing that I used to drive focus towards that ear. The other tools I used were edges, and keeping the edges almost everywhere else in the painting very soft. You can see at the bottom of the painting, the left arm, the right arm, the top of the head, the back of the head, all of these places have very soft edges. And I made sure that a lot of the background really blended in and came into the body so that it would push those areas further back and the ear and my focal point would come forward. So at the end, did I succeed in making the ear the true focal point of this painting? I guess I'll have to let you be the judge of that because it's pretty subjective, right? But what I learned was just how much power you can pack into a very small area of a painting when everything else really steps back. And that's the important part. It isn't about just the focal point. It's about the entirety of the rest of the painting pointing to it as well, or stepping back into the shadows. Awesome. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you want to see more of these videos, like, subscribe, do all that stuff, but especially go to my website, chrisbevan.com. If you want to see more paintings, if you want to buy my paintings, if you want to see my daily art, that happens every day. I've been doing it for 12 years now, over 12 years. Thank you so much for watching. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Bye-bye.